Hello, this is Pursy P, and welcome to I Want to End My Life, because this is going to be so annoying. Anna Kasparian on Trump's childish behavior. I can only see the irony in this.
That Trump is unraveling, and it's fascinating to watch.
Like the Young Turks.
Watch his crybaby sensitivities in
Like the Young Turks.
real time, especially as his supporters still accuse the left of being so-called snowflakes.
Because you guys are.
But as funny as it might be to watch a grown man have one childlike temper tantrum after the other,
like Chank.
Things get complicated when the president...
Or what's that one guy? There's this other guy. I was watching the video of, there's this one old dude who looked like he could be a pedo. And I don't use that word lightly because the left loves to call everyone pedo. Although, ironically enough, a lot of the celebrities who become pedos tend to be very left-leaning, ironically enough. Bill Cosby, Kevin Spacey. Always fun. But, he spit on Alex Jones' face because he was so petty. It was just a petty move. Anyways, back to causing myself major depression.
Has a dictatorial mind frame, right?
Is that a fancy way of calling him Hitler? Oh, he's Hitler.
After the midterm elections, where Democrats easily took over the House and flipped a bunch of gubernatorial races from red to blue.
Yeah, you're right. The House did flip. It also tends to do that on midterm elections. Obama lost more people in the House than Trump did after a midterm. I will say I disagree with Trump on how he took it, but I will say after the next House election, which, by the way, when it comes to Senator versus House always loses, so have your 2 years and be happy. We'll take our 6 and be happy. Anyways, not to mention all of the House changes. Well, the Senate, it's half and half or whatever. So, it's going to flip real quick. I mean, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, which, from what I can tell, you guys love, the socialist, the even more retarded version of Bernie. I used to want to vote for him when I was like 16. Ugh. Giving me PTSD up in here.
Trump put his hissy fit tendencies on full display at a press conference. This is where he...
Oh, hey, it's two people who are so obsessed with themselves that the room fills with self-confidence. I wouldn't even consider it self-confidence because that's a good thing. More like I'm the greatest thing ever. Trump, who is the Republican version of I'm the greatest thing, I'm the greatest thing on the planet, and then Kim Acosta, I'm the greatest thing ever, and anyone who doesn't like me is mean. The only person more about themselves than Trump is Kim Acosta.
Sparred with CNN's Kim Acosta after the White House reporter asked him a simple question about why he referred to the migrant caravan as an invasion when we've known about it for months. Kind of hard to invade the country when the entire country knows about you coming for months.
Poland knew that Germany was going to come invade them. France knew that Germany was going to invade them. That's why they built the Magnier Line. And if I'm not mistaken, hold up while I Google, since this is Chank's favorite thing is to Google. Let me Google what an invasion means. Because I'm willing to bet it's not a surprise attack. Invasion. An instant of invading a country or region with armed force. An incursion by a large number of people or things into a place or sphere of activity. That second division, an incursion by a large number of people, I'd say it's a large number of people, into a place. The United States is a place. So it is, in fact, an invasion if you use the secondary definition.
Honestly, I think you should let me run the country. You run CNN.
All right.
And if you did it well, your ratings would be much better.
Sick burn, bro.
I may ask one other question, Mr. President. If I may ask one other question, are you worried?
That's enough. That's enough.
Mr. President, I was
enough.
going to ask one of the other folks.
That's enough.
Pardon me, ma'am. Mr.
Excuse
President,
me. That's enough.
Mr. President, I had one other
Peter,
question,
let's
if
go.
I may ask, on the Russia investigation. Are you concerned that you may have?
I'm not concerned about anything with the Russian investigation because it's a hoax.
He's not wrong there. They haven't found anything in almost 3 years. If you can't find anything in almost 3 years, it's probably not true. If this can get 2 to 3 years of investigation, why can't the Hillary thing even get 5 minutes of investigation time? It keeps going in and out of investigation, and it only goes into investigation for like 5 minutes. And then liberals cry about it. But if it's the other way around, it's hilarious how it's all of a sudden turned around.
That's enough. Put down the mic.
Mr. President.
Amen, brother.
Are you worried about indictments coming down in this investigation?
That girl's just like, I'm done with your crap. I'm going to bet that they're going to be like, because I don't get why both Republicans and Democrats have gone full retard. Democrats are like, yes, Kim Acosta, you're a brave soul. And then Republicans are like, oh my goodness, he just beat up a woman. I'm like, you're both retarded.
Mr. President.
I'll tell you what, CNN should be ashamed of itself.
Amen, brother.
Having you working for them. You are
Amen, brother.
a rude, terrible person. You shouldn't be working for CNN. Go ahead.
When two self-praising people fight each other, Trump will win in that competition.
I think that's unfair.
You're a very rude person. The way you treat Sarah Huckabee is horrible. And the
Trump's not wrong about that.
way you treat other people are horrible.
Trump's not wrong about that.
You shouldn't treat people that way. Go ahead.
Trump's not wrong about that.
Go ahead, Peter. Go ahead.
In Jim's defense, I've traveled with him and watched him. He's a diligent reporter who busts
Well,
his
I'm
butt.
not
You must be a comedian, Peter Alexander, because I don't know what you're smoking if you think he's a diligent reporter. The only thing Kim Acosta's diligent about is himself.
a big fan of yours either, so
I understand.
to be honest.
So
I love it. I'm not a fan of yours either. I understand. See, if Kim Acosta could have said something as simple as that, like, I understand, and then asked a question, maybe Trump would have responded. Because the only way you can piss off Trump more is being as self-conceited as he is.
So let me ask you a question if I can.
How absurd is it to have Trump accuse other people of being rude, terrible people?
That's the point. He's right, but he has that same problem. Your point is?
Well, later Trump, a man who made racism the centerpiece of his presidential campaign.
No, he didn't. He did not make racism the centerpiece. You guys made it the centerpiece of his. Building a wall is not racist. As someone who's half Hispanic. In fact, my Hispanic side's more for building the wall than the white side of my family. I mean, like, it's funny because people talk, oh, it's so racist. A lot of legal immigrants, except the Young Turks apparently, because I know Chank's a immigrant, are pretty for the wall because, and it's not even because they don't believe in allowing other people in. They believe that it should be easier for people to get in, yes, but they also don't think people should be able to cross the border illegally because they went through the process. Why can't other people? Although them and people like me agree that it should be easier, that still doesn't mean that they should be able to cross the border illegally.
Accused a black journalist of being racist after she asked about what he meant when he referred to himself as a proud nationalist.
On the campaign trail, you called yourself a nationalist. Some people saw that as emboldening white nationalists.
That is racist. You're assuming that a white guy saying nationalism is white nationalist. He is assuming a nationalist just because they're white is a white supremacist. I'm a nationalist in the aspect of, don't worry, I got Google here. And Google's pretty left-leaning, so you know the definition's going to be pretty crazy. A person who advocates political independence for a country. For example, Scottish nationalist. Relating to nationalists or nationalism, well, that's retarded. A person who advocates political independence for a country. Are you seriously telling me that nationalism is a racist thing? The Scots want... There's Scottish nationalists. There's Northern Irish nationalists. There's Eastern Washington nationalists like myself who want independence from our liberal overlords.
Now people are also
I don't know
saying
why you'd
that
say
the
that. It's
president...
such a racist question.
It is a racist question. You're assuming someone has racist intent because they're white and happen to be a nationalist.
Some people that say that now the Republican Party is seen as supporting white nationalists.
Oh.
She literally just said because he's a white guy that's a nationalist that he's the reason that white supremacy and white nationalism is a problem in the Republican Party. Which, by the way, it's not. The alt-right is not a part of the Republican Party.
Because of your rhetoric.
Or I shouldn't say isn't a part of the true Republican Party. Yes, just like the alt-left, I imagine, is not a part of the Democratic Party. At least I hope.
What do you make of that?
I don't believe. I don't know. Why do I have my highest poll numbers ever with African Americans? What?
He's actually quite spot on. In fact, more black people support Trump than they actually support the Republican Party by itself.
What do I have among the highest poll numbers with African Americans?
He has pretty high poll numbers with African Americans.
I mean, why do I have my highest poll numbers? That's such a racist question. Honestly, I mean, I know you have it written down and you're going to tell me. Let me tell you, that's a racist question.
If Trump believes that 3% is a high number among...
It's not 3%. Per the national... No, I'm just going to call by its acronym because people know better for that. The NAACP, 13% of blacks consider themselves Republican, yet 21% of blacks support Trump. That's not 3%. It's not... In fact, I believe the average support for a Republican president by blacks is 15%. Don't quote me on that. I believe it's a little bit higher than there are Republicans because there are undecided blacks as well.
Black voters, then he has a high number, but it's
not 3%. You're retarded, Anna.
around 3%.
No, it's not. Per the NAACP, which by the way is a left-leaning organization, even admits, and they use this as a negative term in the NAACP, only 21% support Trump. No race has a majority. Yeah, no majority supports Trump by race. Even white people, it's 50-50 approximately. It's 21% with African Americans / blacks. In fact, if you want me to quote the rest, it's 13. The rest of minorities. 13% of blacks identify as Republicans and 21% support Trump. Latinos, it's 25% identify as Republicans, 35% support Trump. Asians, it's 26% Republican, so it's higher than Latinos, yet less for Trump, 32% support Trump. Native Americans, 32% identify as Republicans, while 43% support Trump. Really? Really? In fact, Native Americans, almost as much as white people, support Trump. Not number-wise, but percentage-wise.
Finally, he dismissed journalist April Ryan during the same press conference and called her names later.
The same thing with April Ryan. I watch her get up. I mean, you talk about somebody that's a loser. She doesn't know what the hell she's doing. She gets publicity, and then she gets a pay raise, or she gets a contract with, I think, CNN. But she's very nasty.
All right, there are two main things I want to address here. The first is just a fun observation about how insanely sensitive and baby-like the president is.
Like you, Anna.
He's the most powerful person on the planet, and he spends most of his time crying about how unfair everything is and everyone is to him.
Yes, because media does have an absurd bias towards Trump. In fact, he used this and still uses this to his advantage because people like you and CNN and MSNBC and multiple other media outlets give him so much media time that people don't forget about him. For example, during the election, Hillary paid quite a decent amount of money to get public noticement, and Trump spent barely anything because he would say very absurd things, and you guys wouldn't shut up about him. And so he got millions upon millions of free advertising because of retards like you who just eat it up.
He was whining about the media even before he was elected, tweeting in August of 2016, "It is being reported by virtually everyone and is a fact that the media pylon against me is the worst in American political history."
I will say I can't agree or disagree with that, but throughout my entire life, I have never seen a president get so much hate by the media and so much publicity by the media at the same time. Bush got a lot of hate, but he also didn't get as much publicity. The thing with Trump is that he got so much media attention, and Hillary didn't get that same attention because she said offensive things, but the media was like, whatever. Trump's way more interesting to report on because minorities get fired up, even though he has some of the highest numbers. In fact, his numbers, I believe I saw his numbers with the Rasmussen polls, anywhere from 44 to 48% approval rating, which is way beyond what Obama had at this point, and way above what Bill Clinton and George Bush had at this point. He's one of the most popular presidents in recent memory, and I think a lot of it has to do with the results he's giving. They don't give a dang about how he talks, because a lot of that is to piss off people like you, and so he's constantly being... He's a showman. And you guys are proving that by giving him so much attention.
Then he got elected and the crying continued.
Yes, because you guys didn't stop. You guys continued doing the exact same things. If the problem isn't fixed, he's gonna complain about the problem still. Do you not see the problem?
I mean, it just doesn't stop.
Just like you won't shut up.
Well, I think the press makes me more uncivil than I am.
That's spot on. There's quite a few times when media has taken both Trump and Trump supporters out of context.
You know, people don't understand. I went to an Ivy League college.
Yes, he went to Wheaton College.
I was a...
Although I do not know if that's an Ivy League. I'm going to assume he's not lying, but I know a decent amount about Trump's education. Wheaton College. He's a pretty good influence, honestly, outside of the absurd comments, which, by the way, he's used to his own advantage, so. Also, the fact that you guys use no filter, I unfilter, so I win.
A student, I did very well.
He did do very well. If I'm not mistaken, he had a 3.8 GPA. That's not something to just squint about. I wouldn't say he's the smartest president. I don't think he's the smartest president by any means, but I think he's definitely a very smart president. I think most presidents have been very intelligent because it's kind of not a mandate, like it has to be a thing, but I think that's kind of a unwritten prerequisite, is to be very intelligent. And Trump's definitely got some intelligence in him. I mean, he wouldn't be able to do what he did. Everyone's like, oh, he a small loan of $1 million. A small loan of $1 million? The things I could do with it. Well, shoot. There's so many people who won way more than that in the lottery, and they go bankrupt in 2 weeks. What Trump did with a quote-unquote small loan of $1 million, he turned it into a multi-billion-dollar corporation. Most people couldn't do that.
Very intelligent person.
Look at the way I've been treated lately.
Yeah, he's not wrong.
Especially by the media.
Not wrong.
No politician in history, and I say this with great surety, has been treated worse or more unfairly.
I don't know if that's true, but he is definitely in the top 3 from my perspective. Oops.
Whatever happened to honest reporting?
Truth.
They only make up stories, but they can make anything bad.
I don't think this whole fake news business, I don't think it's true. I think it's altered truths, would be altered truth news, because everyone is using true quote and true information, but they're skewing it in a way that's deceiving. I would call it more deceiving news, actually.
Because they are the fake, disgusting news.
Oh, he's such a sad little baby.
multiple things I disagree with in that. Sad? I'd say he's pretty happy. Dude's just living the life. Small. He's 6'3" or something like that. He's a tall president. I mean, dude who towers over me, I'm like 5'7". I'm like a Ben Shapiro, so I'm not going to call him little. I don't think you can either, Anna. You're probably like 5'2", 5'3". If you're like 5'6", I'm going to be really depressed. Hold on. I'm going to Google this because I need to know this. Yeah, I don't care about Anna Kasparian Google. I just want to know her height. She's 5'3". Okay, so I am taller than her by a couple inches. I'm pushing 5'8". I'm pushing average.
And the fact that he keeps mentioning his Ivy League education shows you that he knows how stupid he is.
No. That's called humble bragging, or even just bragging. Anyone who gets like a 3.8 GPA in Ivy League school is not stupid.
Smart people don't talk about how smart they are. Brett
Bet. I know quite a few people who do.
Ehrlich went to an Ivy League. Doesn't talk about how he went to an Ivy League because
that's social intelligence. Are you saying he's not socially intelligent? In which case I would agree. Well, actually, I wouldn't agree with that even, because he purposely uses his language techniques to piss off the media.
he's actually a smart guy. He's the supervising producer for this show, in case you don't know that.
Oh, wow. No wonder I've never heard of him. And probably doesn't talk about his Ivy League education because he has losers like you to talk about it for him.
Anyway, the second point I want to highlight actually isn't very funny. When Trump whines about the media, he also simultaneously puts journalism in jeopardy and
No, he doesn't. You know who puts journalism in jeopardy? Like true journalism? The media itself. You attack not just you, but mainstream media attacks anyone with opposing views. Why would Alex Jones, for example, be taken off of almost all social medias unanimously? I'm not the conspiracy. Oh, it's the global government. But by golly, you can't deny the fact that just it's absurd how quickly everyone decided to get rid of him. And then attacking Prager. You want to talk about attack on journalism? It's an attack on one side of journalism and then a counteract, because there is no moderate journalism anymore. There isn't. Both anything from Fox News, which is clearly conservative leaning, to CNN, which is clearly liberal. There is not really a moderate media I can think of at all. Most medias have a staunch leaning. The difference between CNN, and I'll give you guys even credit compared to CNN, MSNBC, you at least are willing to admit you're very liberal, unlike CNN and MSNBC, because they are not moderate.
attempts to weaken First Amendment protections
No,
toward a free press.
he hasn't.
Remember the heated exchange between him and Kim Acosta? Well, that led to Acosta losing his press credentials, even
Because he was being a little frickin' girl. The dude couldn't shut up. He never shuts up. I can't remember the last time when the president, or when Sarah Huckabee Sanders, or when anyone who was doing a White House secretary conversation, when they went to someone else, he would not shut up. Kim Acosta is one of the most annoying reports. And not to mention, they're not taking away from CNN. CNN can send someone else. And the only thing they did is they took away his credentials to getting through security with no problem. The fact that you guys are making out as if like they've banned CNN from coming to the White House is retarded.
even though he hadn't done anything wrong.
Doubt.
After the press conference drama unfolded, Acosta announced on Twitter that, quote, I've just been denied entrance to the White House. Secret Service just informed me I cannot enter the White House grounds for my 8 p.m. hit.
Who cares? They did not deny CNN. They denied one guy who didn't know how to shut up.
The U.S. Secret Service just asked for my credential to enter the White House, as I told the office.
Why is he entitled to entering the White House? Just because he's a part of the media? Why don't I have the right? I'm a small-time YouTube commentator. Why don't I get the privilege? Like, who cares? They're not revoking it from CNN or anything. They can send someone else. Just because of one guy who doesn't know how to shut up and be respectful, you're going to try to act as if they're trying to revoke free speech? Really? And freedom of the press? Really?
Sir, I don't blame him. I know he's just doing his job. Sarah Huckabee Sanders tried to justify revoking Acosta's press credentials by sharing a doctored video from InfoWars that made it seem as though he put his hands on the press aide who tried to take his mic away.
He did push her. It wasn't anything extreme by any means. And I've already criticized this earlier with the Republican view on it. But don't say he didn't have any resistance to her trying to take the mic.
The undoctored video makes it clear that Acosta never put his hands on anyone. Trump supporting conservatives are so far up their own asses.
You mean Young Turks? Because you guys seem to ignore everything. You guys are worse than Trump supporters. And by golly, I support Trump's results. I don't agree with everything Trump's done by any means. I'm more of a libertarian than Trump. I'd be more on the Ben Shapiro side of politics. I don't agree with Trump. In fact, I honestly would have preferred Ted Cruz or Ben Carson. But by golly, is he still better than anything you guys could produce. And the fact that you guys act as if every Trump supporter is retarded, I guarantee, since you're better than me, I guarantee there are so many Trump supporters that are better than you.
That they don't see how disastrous this is for a country that's
because it's not
supposed to have a constitutional protection for speech and the press.
All right, then why don't I get to go into the White House? Why don't you get to go into the White House? Just because they revoke one person's right inside the White House, they're not revoking it from CNN. They make it as if he's revoking from media outlets. They revoked one person's, and it probably isn't even going to be forever. They revoked one person's to get him to learn to shut up when the president's trying to talk to someone else. You can be as petty as you want, but shut the hell up. This is, and excuse my language, but this is getting so annoying.
This sets a dangerous precedent by consolidating power in the executive branch of government.
You're allowed to revoke security clearance.
Journalism is known as the fourth estate because it's supposed to play a critical role in our political system of checks and balances.
No, it's to help inform. Unless, you can consider that a check and balance, but the checks and balance of the government is, in fact, the sorry, I can't pronounce words. I can't even pronounce flabbergasted, so I have problems pronouncing words sometimes. But the legislative and the judicial branches are checks and balances to the executive branch. Really doesn't have that much power. Democrats, honestly, are the ones who try to give the executive branch more power. You're the ones that want to give the federal government more and more power, which is ironic because now that Trump's in power, all of a sudden you're like, no, never mind. Once a Democrat gets in power, we want to give them all the power again. Yeah, I see the bias there. See, the difference between Republicans and Democrats is your guys' consistency is such a joke, it's hilarious. You want the federal government to take power. When it's a Democrat. When it's a Republican, you're like, oh, no, let's go to the states, so that way at least California can save us. With Republicans, we want smaller government regardless of who's in charge. Okay, I can't speak for everyone, but the majority of Republicans, especially libertarian-leaning Republicans, we want less government no matter who's in charge.
Real journalism holds people in positions of power, both
CNN is not real journalism, sorry. Neither are you, TYT.
both Republicans and Democrats accountable. It informs
No, it does not.
the public so people can vote in
No, it
their
doesn't.
best interests.
No, it doesn't.
Trump also goes out of his way to direct violence toward journalists who refuse to give him nonstop pats on the back.
No, he doesn't. He doesn't encourage violence against Ben Shapiro in the Daily. He just is the political bias of people like TYT. At least you guys have the balls to admit you guys are liberal retards. Okay, I shouldn't call you guys liberal retards because that's a diss on liberals. You guys are lefty retards because the American left is gone so... I can't even say... The left has gone so far that they can't use their brains anymore at this point. It's really concerning. This entitlement and this PC BS is... It's just so absurd.
Like Fox News does.
Whoa, what?
Refuse to give him nonstop pats on the back like Fox News does.
Oh, so you mean like CNN, MSNBC, and TYT patting on the backs of Hillary Clinton, Bernie Sanders? Oh, you mean like that? Basically doing the exact same thing, but the other party. The difference is the Republican side has a lot less mainstream media than the left side does. That kind of stuff. Because mainstream media is so much more in favor of the liberal side of things. Not even the liberal. Because if they were liberal, they wouldn't even be Hillary Clinton or Bernie Sanders. They'd be more of a JFK, which, by the way, JFK nowadays would be more Republican than Democrat.
Then he and his administration have the audacity to argue that someone like Acosta was being violent.
The audacity. And no, he wasn't violent, but he needs to learn to be more respectful. Enough said.
As we all know, Trump has called the media the enemy of the people.
No, he calls your guys' version of the media the enemy of the people. The reason for that is because you guys have such a political bias, and you guys can't even admit it. Not you, TYT. You guys have the balls to admit you're left. But CNN and MSNBC swear up and down into the moon and the stars that they are not biased. And they proceed to be biased with every little thing. Fox News even has the balls to at least admit that they're pretty right-leaning. And both sides, Fox, MSNBC, CNN, you guys always put in other people from the other side to show how neutral and unbiased you guys are. And then the other side always gets cremated. Because they're always less qualified to talk on the topic, which is retarded.
Repeatedly, even after a man gunned down journalists earlier this year.
Oh, you mean Cesar Sayoc? Yes, he was Republican, but he's only been Republican as of this election cycle. There is no previous records of him being Republican before this. So this is retarded. The Republicans use My Life or whatever that thing's called, where you can also edit, and then Democrats are like, well, see, he's a Republican, he's a registered Republican for one election cycle, for one presidential election cycle. Trump has been a Republican for as long as this dude. We have no idea if this guy was a Democrat before this. And this is per Snoops, by the way, which is a liberal-leaning information site. which I trust with certain things, especially when it's concerning liberal versus non-liberal. And they even admit that as March 4th, 2016 is the most recent he's been registered Republican. So after Trump was even elected. This dude we don't even know if this guy voted for Trump. Really?
Just recently, Cesar Sayoc, an outspoken Trump supporter, sent
No. Well, maybe Trump supporter.
multiple bombs to CNN. Earlier this year in
Which all surprise. It's always funny that they're always like, oh my goodness, all these Democrats and liberal or left-leaning medias are being bombed. None of these bombs have gone off, which is just the funniest thing ever. Yet they had no problems with the baseball game where Republicans were literally gunned down and sent to the hospital and injured, and some were almost killed. Everyone forgets that. But the Democrats were sending bombs that didn't even go off. Ooh, so scary.
August, a Trump supporter named Robert Chain was arrested for threatening to kill reporters at the Boston Globe over their Trump coverage. This is not...
I've never heard of Robert Chan, but I'm going to assume that there's at least some bias in this because I don't trust DYT with anything.
The type of climate fostered by a president who believes in our Constitution or democracy.
There's two problems with this. First of all, he believes in the Constitution more than you guys because you guys want to revoke rights, remove hate speech, remove Second Amendment, blah, 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 blah. Heck, in my state of Washington, you guys, not you guys as TYT, but the Democrats endorsed I-1639, which raises the age to own guns to 21. That is the most retarded thing ever. The amendments, for a reason, brought the age of voting to 18. Because, well, if you can serve in our country, our country's military, why can't you vote? The logic doesn't apply in my state as of 2019 because liberals, or not even liberals, I hate using the word liberals because these aren't liberals. Classical liberals like JFK and who's that one guy? I forget his name. That one gay guy who left the left. In fact, I think he was on TYT and then realized how retarded you guys were. The Dave Rubin. I remember it was a Dave Rubin show. Dave Rubin. Who, by golly, better than you guys.
These are the actions of a dictator, plain and simple.
No, if he was a dictator, he'd revoke your rights entirely. You guys act like he's Hitler. If he's Hitler, he's a horrible version of Hitler because Hitler would have already gotten you guys massacred. Actually, no. He would have had us massacred because, ironically enough, Nazis are National Socialists.
The real question is whether we're going to allow democracy to decompose.
We're a republic. A democratic republic, so democracy isn't the full aspect. No one, you guys want to get rid of the electoral college? It's so complicated.
Under a rotten president.
Okay, fine. You want to call him rotten? That's fair. Whatever. That's a perspective thing.
Do we sit by and continue pretending like things won't get worse?
Yes, because they won't. Because he simply revoked security clearance to a reporter who has the intelligence of what you guys think Trump's intelligence is. What Trump's intelligence to you guys is Kim Acosta's intelligence to most people.
Because I can guarantee you they will.
I can guarantee they won't. Unless you guys get worse. It's more of a response than a blatant control thing. No filter because she doesn't use a filter on her brain. Get it?
Oh, did you like that video?
No. You make me want to kill myself, honestly. Or no. I shouldn't say that because I might get... I almost said demonetized, but I don't get any money. I might get this video removed if I said kill myself, so I'm going to game end myself, as in the great words of Pyrocynical. I'm just going to end myself. And that face is so smug, it's annoying. Anyways, thank you guys so much for watching. I'm Pursy P. Comment, like, and subscribe. Especially comment, because I do want to get your guys' take, and I do want to have interaction in this channel. I want to get your guys' perspectives. I want an open communication. Actually, let's just go here, because I don't want to... No, let's not show their merch either. You know, I'm just Kapowie. We're gonna go to my channel, because I don't want to keep looking at that. Yeah, there's my new video, by the way. Pursy P's reaction to the Young Turks on the Proud Boys. Anyways, as I was saying, I do want to have some discourse, and unlike TYT, I want to be civil, regardless of your left, right, center, socialist, Women's Equality Party, Green Party, Libertarian, Constitutionalist, Republican, so on and so forth. Even if you're those technologists, whatever they are. I want public discourse on this channel. I want it to be something that, although obviously I have my political bias, I do want to have public discourse and conversation. Anyways, as I was saying, I've been Pursy Politics, also known as Pursy P. Thank you guys so much for watching. Adios, not PC.